and then of course gorillas. And we've just had an interesting turn of events for gorillas that Carl can fill you in on, but it's been really exciting to follow.
Carl? Yeah.
Well, we have 4 male gorillas. One of the problems with managing gorillas in captivity is that you have equal numbers of males and females born, and they typically live in bands made up of groups of females with one dominant male. And so you have all these males that don't have groups of females to live with. And so we've tried managing 4 males, and we have 3 of them living together right now, and we're one of the first zoos to successfully integrate 3 adult males, and that may be a solution to the overabundance of males.
And needless to say, that's one of the more popular exhibits, isn't it?
I'd say gorillas, and we have a very active group of bonobos, and we have a group of chimps, and those are always very popular with the public.
The zoo has not only city funding, which has made a big difference, but a lot of private support. And at some point, we'll probably see some photos of the jaguar exhibit, which is another major attraction. If you haven't been to the zoo lately, you should go see the Land of the Jaguar. But tell us a little bit about that, Dennis.
It's the most ambitious project we've ever done, and it was really made possible by a combination of Better Jacksonville funds and private dollars that came together to make that project happen. It occupies a 4.5-acre site, and it's sort of a zoo within the zoo. It includes all of the animals typically found in South America that the public knows about, and a few that they don't. All set in a natural setting with sort of Mayan ruin architecture. So there's a sense of place when you go there. And it, for the first time, really incorporated a lot of conservation messages, has a place for education to take place, and provides a variety of environments, from underwater environments where fish are living to overhead ones where we have howler monkeys, waterfalls, lots of tropical plants, otters, eagles, tapirs, saki monkeys, capybara, and a building that is a replica of a Mayan temple that actually houses our reptile and amphibian collection that lives in South America. And so it was, by any standard, it is a very significant exhibit in the zoo world, and one that many people are anxious to see when they come visit the zoo.
I hope you can find some photos of that. John, this was made possible in large part by the Weavers, Wayne and Dolores Weaver, who have been very active in the community in a whole number of ways, but nothing more important than perhaps that exhibit at the zoo.
Without doubt, they've been wonderful citizens for this entire community, but inasmuch as their service and their contributions to the zoo, much has been accomplished. Their name, of course, is on that exhibit as being the presenting sponsor.
And we can see some photos of this as you talk. Go ahead.
Wayne continues to be on our board of directors. He's done a wonderful job in helping us to raise funds from the other portions of the private sector within Jacksonville. This was a $15 million undertaking, obviously a sizable commitment. The city itself had contributed $10 million, and we've actually, let me back up, we had a $30 million capital campaign, of which 10 came from the city. From the private side, we are still working to raise $20 million. We have raised a total of about $26 million, so we've nearly accomplished our goal.
So that's always been impressive to me, is that unlike some other things that get city money, this is matched by private support, and that's been very impressive, I think.
The city has contributed between the early 90s phase 1 of the master plan, and what we'll call today's phase 2, which we're nearly completing. The city has contributed about $22 million, and we have raised around $27–28 million ourselves on the private sector. And of course, everything that we raise on the private sector, in actuality, goes on to the balance sheet of the city. Mm-hmm. The city owns the zoo. We merely manage it. But we've got a wonderful public-private partnership. Today, it's stronger than it has ever been.
And that's I guess that happened in a lot of cities. The municipality started the zoo. In some cases, that's a thing of the past, but this is still the Jacksonville City Zoo.
This is still the city zoo. It does provide a small portion of our operating capital or requirements also on an annual basis. We receive about 18% of our budget this year from the city for operating funds. Our budget this year is in the range of $9.3 million. So we're obligated to raise in excess of $7 million ourselves in the way of admissions, special events, things of that particular sort.
Dennis, let's talk a little bit about the, well, we're on this slide here, which makes a point. It's not just the Jacksonville Zoo anymore, it's the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens.
It is. We saw a niche for a botanic garden here in Duval County and really for all of Northeast Florida. And the zoo has always had gardens. They just weren't formal gardens, and the plants weren't identified or interpreted. And so we've just completed a master plan for the gardens, and we're actually building our first of many gardens in the zoo. And it's about a half-an-acre garden called Savannah Blooms that will serve as a transition garden from the main path to the giraffe exhibit. And you'll walk through a South African garden. And that's under construction right now. That'll open April 15th. A very beautiful garden, water lily pools, shaded trellised areas, and a whole variety of plants, typical rock formations found in a South African landscape. And so a very high quality garden on your way to seeing giraffes. And the old way of feeding a giraffe is to go behind the scenes with a school group and feed them over a chain link fence. The new way is actually much different from that. And that is, there will be an elevated platform, and the giraffe will be encouraged to come right up to everyone. And you'll be able to feed them, or if not feeding them, you'll be able to get very, very close to them.
And we have a slide now to show something new at the zoo.
Yes, this is a photograph from a brochure. We actually have this up and running. It opened last week, and it's a really beautiful carousel. Instead of horses on it, it's got wild animals. And so it's a way to teach children animal names in a very, very fun way for them. And when the children get off, they'll get a little baseball card of one of the animals on the carousel that'll tell a little bit about it. But it's created a lot of fun and sort of a hot spot for activity right near the range of the jaguar, and kids are already swarming to it.
And John, for a lot of folks, this will be reminiscent of the old days when there was a carousel and other things at the zoo.
Without question. This was something that came to my mind a few years ago. Was a new carousel. There's a small carousel in St. Augustine. There are none in Northeast Florida other than the small one in St. Augustine. And I could just envision the exotic animals going up and down, it going around, and the music that you typically hear with the merry-go-round. It has been widely accepted in just the first 2 weeks of its presence.
Worth a trip to the zoo to see the carousel, right?
It's a guaranteed busy animal when you go to the zoo, and it's that old calliope music that you might be familiar with from long ago that we have playing again, and it's just wonder. This happens to be an area, the original sign, an MPS group is the donor for this, but we set up a sign with one of the carousel animals so children can have their picture taken while the thing's not moving. Here's an example of the actual carousel that's in place right now, and you see it's got all the elements, the lights, the music, the different kinds of animals, and it's just all beautifully done. We even put a cover over it so we're shading you in the summertime with some fans, and built a little plaza around it so parents and caregivers can watch the kids.
And this is part of Kids Zone that's going to be developed in the near future?
Yeah, it's not part of it, it's adjacent to, and will almost serve as the front door for that new exhibit. And we're in final planning on that right now, and we hope to start construction in the very near future and then open next spring sometime.
If you haven't been out to the zoo on a typical weekday, Carl, and see all those school buses with children, it's a very popular destination for South Georgia and other adjacent counties, not just Jacksonville. And it's a very educational experience for kids, isn't it?
Yep. We're very interested in giving people an opportunity to learn more about wild places and the natural environment. Give people, we hope to give people compelling reasons to either change their behaviors at home and to protect the environment, and even to do more with their life.
Our goals are education, conservation, and recreation. And we are going in that direction rapidly. And those that visit with us agree.
Now, Dennis, any other things coming in the future?
Well, we hope to build an Asia project. That's a little ways off yet. We've got to do a bit more fundraising before we get that started. Let me add, though, that I think they're going to see, if you haven't been to the zoo in just 2 years, you are going to see a very, very different zoo than the one just from even 2 years ago. If you came last year, it's going to seem like a different zoo. We've completely remade the visitor pathways to make them wider and more comfortable. We've had lighting. We're adding gardens, we're adding the giraffe exhibit, and we're fixing some other things. We simplified our pathways. We added a wayfinding system to make it easier for you to get around the zoo, more signage. We've added restrooms up by the elephants. And so when you come, and what used to seem like a crowded day, I think won't anymore, because we're better at accommodating more people.
A new train, not too many years ago.
A new train, and the train has been so popular, we're purchasing additional cars for it so we can minimize the wait times in line. We're also starting construction on a new train station.
And you're reaching the point, I think, that you probably can't see it all in one day. It's a full day.
It's a full day. The new pathways have really helped make that easier, and our membership is growing really fast now. It's probably grown by 50% in the last year, and it is for $65 for a family of 4. It is by far one of the best bargains in town. Come as often as you like, and you'll have a wonderful day.
John, Carl, Dennis, thank you for being with us on the Jacksonville History Show.
Thanks for
Good
having
luck
me.
with the zoo.
It's a pleasure.
That's our show for tonight. The Jacksonville History Show is here every Wednesday night, thanks to the Jacksonville Historical Society and Comcast. For more information about the Historical Society, visit our website, www.jackshistory.com, or call 665-0064.